Welcome to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast, a relaxing and informative show where we explore anxiety, panic, and PTSD, sharing how you can overcome them for life.
Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I am so happy to be with you again today as together we can consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I want to talk about mindfulness basics for stress, anxiety, and panic. Now, we talk a lot about mindfulness, and we talk about it in many different episodes, but I don't think I've talked about the mindfulness basics in quite a while, so I thought I would bring it up again. And the reason that mindfulness gets chatted about so much here is because it is that important. It's a basic place to be in your life, and you can't get there without being aware of it and actually doing some practices that help to teach you how to get there. I always looked at it as like breadcrumbs back to my soul, like following the breadcrumbs right back to my inner heart, my soul, my true inner being, and being right there in that moment with what is. And we learn how to do that in meditation. Meditation meaning setting a particular time aside to actually do something that keeps you mindful, keeps you in the present moment. And when you can do that enough in a structured environment of sitting down, whether you're doing it with a guided meditation or you're just coming back to your breath, you don't need any props for it, but you can use them if that is helpful for you. Coming back to your breath over and over and being right in that moment, letting your thoughts come up, but bringing yourself back to where you are. You're not in those thoughts. Those thoughts aren't happening. You just come back. What's happening right now? My breath, the feeling in my hands. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we can bring ourselves to be in the present moment. And what is something that's always in the present moment is our body. Our breath is always happening just now. You can't breathe in the future and you can't breathe in the past. So if you want to be in the present moment, be with your breath. I hope that will help you understand why we talk about the breath so much. It is not to make you breathe in a particular way or to manipulate your breath in some way. Right now, we are using it to just keep us in the present moment. So mindfulness is often called meditation. So in a nutshell, it means to pay attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, and being aware of the experience that unfolds moment by moment. And as one of my mentors, Jon Kabat-Zinn, often says, as if your life depends on it, because it does. And I truly believe that. We pay attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, and be aware of the experience that unfolds moment by moment, as if our life depends on it, because it does. We really can do such a different way of living when we learn how to be mindful. So, why is mindfulness so important? Why? It's kind of funny because, I learned about mindfulness quite a long while ago, and now it is quite the buzzword, but that's okay. That means more people are becoming aware of it. It's important. But what is it and why is it so important? It's important because mindfulness adds to our ability to focus in the present moment, which really helps to soothe overwhelming emotions, thoughts, and anxiety. So this really helps us with our stress, our anxiety, and our panic. We have to learn how to use this focus. And it does what it does after we've learned how to do it. It soothes the overwhelming emotions and the thoughts that rise in stress, anxiety, and panic. So you can see why it's so important for you. Mindfulness also helps you to identify the judgmental thoughts. Those are the thoughts about things outside yourself and within, which can often lead you to more anxiety, right, and more stress. But it helps you to identify those judgmental thoughts. We don't even know that we're being judgmental until we can stop long enough and look and see. And we can look and see by being mindful, by being with what is. Mindfulness also develops and encourages the use of your wise mind. And when you are using your wise mind, you are making really healthy decisions for your life. Who doesn't want those things? Like, we all want to be able to focus. We all want to be able to identify the judgmental thoughts because they are causing, believe me, the judgmental thoughts are causing a lot of stress and anxiety. And we want to be living our lives from our wise mind, not from our knee-jerk reaction or habits, bad habits that we have developed over a lifetime. Let's develop a mindfulness habit so that we can be living from our wise mind. I have lots of ways that I want to talk to you about of how to do it, but first I want to thank today's sponsors. For anybody that is struggling with focus, energy, or motivation, a lot of it isn't you, it could be your brain, and Thesis helps you take control of your mind to create habits that last and get a little bit of help if you need a boost. Thesis is so awesome. You get to go on their website and take a 3-minute quiz. And with this quiz, they will recommend high-quality, nootropic formulas that are unique to you and your goals. It's super easy and it's fun. And I want to point out here, it's very important if you guys go there to the Thesis website because you can ask for caffeine-free formulas. They can make all the formulas that they make in caffeine-free. So you know that caffeine is used a lot in nootropics, but they can make them also caffeine-free. And so that's what I ordered when I took my test and the quiz. It was really kind of fun. And the 4 different formulas that I received after taking the quiz are energy, clarity, logic, and creativity. So you take one formula for 6 days, then you take a day off, and then you begin the next formula, and you keep track of how you feel the whole time. So again, of course, this is a good use of your journal, which I know you all are keeping. So it's an awesome, awesome way to really get some specific formulas made just for you. Right now, Thesis is offering our listeners 10% off your first starter kit when you visit takethesis.com/ACP. Go to takethesis.com/ACP to take the quiz and discover your unique nootropic combination and save 10% on your first starter kit. That's takethesis.com/ACP. Make sure to use our URL and make sure that they know that we sent you. We have Squarespace as a sponsor today. Squarespace is super inclusive, all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business, whatever it may be, online. Stand out with a beautiful website and engage easily with your audience, selling anything. You could be selling your products, your content that you create, and even your time. Squarespace is so easy to get started with. I found it stress-free and intuitive to use, leaving my energy for creating, not tech issues. Use Squarespace email campaigns to really stand out in your subscribers' inbox and share your wisdom with stories, videos, or photos with their blogging tools and show off your social media posts right on your website to keep everyone in the loop. Go to squarespace.com/ACP for a free trial And when you're ready to launch, use offer code ACP to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. That's squarespace.com/ACP. Okay, so how do we do this mindfulness? It seems like we are always talking about it, but how are we going to do it? So I have two ideas here. The first one is practice focusing on the present moment through your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical sensations. These three things can always bring you back to the present moment. So you can notice if you are having a thought. And I know I just spoke a moment ago about judgmental thoughts and how they can often lead to anxiety. But you don't know you're having judgmental thoughts if you are not present with your thoughts. And emotions, practice focusing on the present moment through your emotions. We know that we are feeling emotions and we often have a name for them. We can label them, but we are not actually with them. We are noticing that the emotion is happening, but we aren't actually with it. So that's because we're just in a habit loop, or we're in a knee-jerk reaction where this happens and I get that emotion. But if you can focus through your emotions, be actually with it in the moment, it's going to look completely different. You're going to see it with a new perspective. And my favorite one for people who are anxious is the physical sensations, because it is much easier to enter into the mindfulness practice through your physical body, and that includes the breath, than it is with thoughts and emotions. Because when you are struggling with some anxiety or a lot of stress or panic especially, you're not going to be able to find your way through the thoughts and the emotions so easily. So don't start there. Start with your physical sensations. You can be feeling your own body when you are sitting and just trying to be mindful in a present moment. Check in with your body. Can I feel my hand? Do I know my hand is there? Yes, I can feel my hand. I can feel it, the weight of it. We can also pay attention to the space between our ears. You could try to visualize that physical sensation of the space between your ears. Just be there with it, like this is your body. What can I feel anything in between there? It's wonderful because that's giving you an opportunity to be present with some space. But you can do it with your breath. We always have our breath with us, and our breath is always in the present moment. So just notice the breath is coming in. The breath is going out. The breath is there. We don't need to manipulate it at this point. We're not doing breathing exercises or any kind of yogic breathing at this point. We are simply being aware. We are being aware of the present moment and our breath. We notice that it goes in. We notice that it goes out. We can refine it. We can notice it at the tip of our nose. Are we noticing it at our belly? Is our belly rising and falling? Or do we feel the air moving in and out at the tip of the nose? Be with what is physically happening in your body. If you have pain, that's an entryway to mindfulness. If you have a pain or a cramp or an ache, use that to enter. Just be with it. That is happening right now. Go to the pain. Don't have to run from it. Go to it. When I had my frozen shoulder, I did a lot of mindfulness with that frozen shoulder because I couldn't sleep. It was extremely painful. And we're talking about for a very long period of time. It's not something that comes and goes quickly. And so rather than resisting the pain, I would use my ice and my other things I needed to do. But when all else fails, because sometimes nothing works, I would just go to the pain. Go. Be with the pain. It's there. It actually changes when you shift your perspective on it. Instead of resisting something that is painful or cramping, go to it. Just be there with it. It doesn't make it worse, but it changes it. And for it to shift gives you the feeling of, I was there with it and it actually moved, or it lessened, or I noticed it had a different quality about it than I had ever imagined. So just go there. Use anything physical in your body that's going on. And if nothing is going on, which I hope for all of you, then just use your breath. I love the breath because it is always there. And it is always gentle with us. We don't have to manipulate it. If you are one who gets a little wiggly about paying attention to your breath because then you feel like you're not breathing right or you're breathing funny, because I used to have that. I couldn't concentrate on my breath early on. So just don't notice it in the actual breathing. Just notice your hand on your belly. My belly's moving up, my belly's moving down. It's all just a belly moving with my body in this present moment. That can only be happening in the present moment. So that was the first one. You can practice by focusing on the present moment through your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. And because most people listening to this are anxious, I highly suggest you start with physical sensations. The second one is, I want you to practice separating thoughts from emotions and physical sensations. So this would be moving on a little bit further. You would practice separating the thoughts from the emotions and the physical sensations. So you're thinking about a feeling, you're thinking about a physical sensation, right? So you can start to see that when you are actually being mindful, when you are in the present moment. You can see these things. You can't when you are just out and busy with life. We all have to go out and live our lives. But when you are doing a mindfulness practice, you can separate the thoughts from the emotions and the physical sensations. You begin to see that they are all different, that you are actually having thoughts about these things. So when thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations are not easily recognized, they may be confused with one another, and that can cause you anxiety, fear, and panic. So I'd love for you to pull up on your computer, on your Google, a list of emotions. It can be really helpful for you to be able to see in black and white what an emotion is. So the lists I've used over all these years are from the Center for Nonviolent Communication, and you can just Google a list of emotions. And then you can see that there are emotions that you have from your needs being met. There are emotions that you have from your needs not being met, right? So these are all emotions, and the lists are there's tons of them. And you're going to be much better off for being able to really see, I'm not really just sad. There will be like 10 words under sad. What kind of sad are you? It can really be helpful to tease out this different kinds of emotions that we are having. And then you can see the difference from thinking about these emotions and actually also having physical sensations. So again, I would suggest that you Google Center for Nonviolent Communication or even just a list of emotions. And that could be really helpful for you. So this week, maybe you could actually set up some meditation time for a daily basis where at least for a few moments, you just sit and notice and differentiate what is coming up for you as a thought, what's coming up as an emotion, or a physical sensation. And just notice these three things without judgment. Remember, in the mountain meditation that we have done in the past, the clouds just pass by the mountain. you can also see your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations as those clouds simply passing by the mountain. You are the mountain. You are rooted. You are strong. And those physical sensations, those thoughts, and those emotions are just clouds passing by. Sometimes they are dark and filled with rain or sleet, and sometimes they are white and puffy and pretty to look at. There are some other kinds of visualizations you can use, such as sitting by a stream as the water passes by, the leaves falling from the autumn maple tree in the stream, just passing by. That's a thought. It's just passing by. It is not who I am. So, if you are keeping a journal, this would be a good time for you to be making note of when you sat and what came up, what you were able to see. Were you able to see your thoughts? Were you able to see your emotions? Did you use the emotion list to get really down to it, to exactly what kind of sadness you have? I hope that you will actually do this, because this brings us so much more into the moment that we are in, that it makes our life completely different. The perspective changes. And in that way, you are more resilient and able to handle what comes up, because you don't have to rely on old habit and knee-jerk reactions. I hope this show was helpful for you, and you know that I love being here with you. Before I read today's quote, I was wondering if you prefer the show without ads, or perhaps you might like to have access to the entire back catalog of over 600 episodes. Maybe you'd like some bonus meditation episodes. All of that and more are available for $5 a month with our premium Supercast membership. Go to anxietycoaches.supercast.com and join us ad-free today. The link will be in the show notes. And now for today's quote. Mindfulness means being awake. It means knowing what you are doing. And that's from Jon Kabat-Zinn. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.
Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. Find more information at theanxietycoachespodcast.com.